sure you recognize that tune, and who wouldn't? The music of Tommy James and the Shondells is an essential element in the genre of 60s music. Their music is an essential chapter in the book of rock and roll history, and it's a very interesting story at that. Tommy James has had, and still has, a very interesting and satisfying career. I could list the accomplishments and accolades that go along with his career, but I think the story would be more interesting coming from Tommy himself.
We were very lucky. Scored 23 gold records on roulette and did about 110 million records. 23 gold singles and 9 platinum albums. Late in the 60s, we basically outsold everybody. It was pretty amazing.
Recently, I had the great pleasure to interview Tommy James of Tommy James and the Shondells. I was quite impressed by his candor, his friendliness, and his willingness to talk about things that I'm sure he has been asked umpteen times. I learned some things about Tommy that I did not know previously, and came away from the interview more of a fan than I had been before. It's really great to talk to a performer who really appreciates his fans and share all the great things that he has experienced over the years. I hope that you enjoy listening to this interview of Tommy James and to the special edition of Jim's Child of the 60s. As with any famous musician, there has to be a beginning. I asked Tommy about his early years, his early influences, and how it all began.
When I was 4 years old, first of all, I was singing what was on the radio, before I could talk, and it was amazing. I always loved music and always seemed to have my ear in a radio speaker. And when I was 4 years old, my grandfather bought me a ukulele, and I learned how to play it and play what I heard on the radio and sing along. And then when I was 9 years old, I got my first acoustic guitar. And then a year later, when I was 10, I got my first electric guitar, and I basically, learned every lick that I could. Started my first band when I was 12.
The Tornadoes, or?
Yes, that's right. We were called the Tornadoes, and we actually put the group together for the 7th grade variety show in junior high school, and we got such a great response that we kept the band together and started playing. Changed members. We got. I basically ended up with guys that were several years older than I was. I was the youngest one in the band. But we ended up playing, YMCA's and VFW halls and American Legions and any places that we could play. We're playing all over, and finally when, it just seemed like a constant sort of uphill climb, ending, culminating in going to New York when I was 18.
After forming the Tornadoes in Niles, Michigan, Tommy began playing gigs in and around Niles and developed quite a sizable following. Eventually, Tommy signed a record deal for the Tornadoes with a small regional label in the southeast part of Michigan. 500 copies of this record, Long Ponytail, were eventually pressed, and it became a local hit as the band sold the record at their gigs. So here, from 1962, is Long Ponytail. There comes a time when that first song breaks into the scene and a band gets noticed. It can happen many ways and without any control. It can also happen when you least expect it. Fate or destiny can step into the story and change the direction that one thinks that they may be going. And that happened to Tommy James with Hanky Panky.
Hanky Panky was actually recorded back in high school with my rock band that we had, doing dates at the American Legion Hall and things like that. And we recorded it actually back in 1964, early 1964. I was working after school in a record shop back in my hometown in Niles, Michigan, and was able to promote my band out of the record shop as well as learn the record business. So we actually had two little regional label deals, one in 9th grade, one in 1964 when I was in 11th grade. And Hanky Panky came from the second one. And we had recorded, Hanky Panky was one of 4 sides that I recorded for a little label called Snap Records, which was owned by a local disc jockey at WNIL. His name was Jack Douglas. And he was like the morning man on the local radio station. And he was very, he always wanted to, stretch the envelope and do interesting things. And he started this little label back in 63, actually. And we signed on with him in 1963 and had a record out before Hanky Panky, which nosedived pretty fast. And then we put out Hanky Panky in 1964, which was really a cover version of a song by the Raindrops. And we sort of did a rock version of it. And
I heard that in an interview you heard another band was doing
that's
it,
right.
so you did a version of it?
That's right. I heard a local band called The Spinners. Not the R&B group from the 70s, but a local band back in the early 60s that played the record, and I had never heard it before, and I saw this incredible response from the crowd. And all I could remember was My Baby Does the Hanky Panky. I couldn't really remember all the words to the song. So we went into the studio and we did what we could remember. And just immediately right out of the box got a tremendous response for the record. And we released it on all the jukeboxes around, probably a 50 or 60 mile radius, southern Indiana, or southern Michigan, northern Indiana, some over into Ohio. And but we couldn't get any airplay. We were really in sort of a radio dead zone right in between Chicago and Detroit. We really couldn't get on into a major market, so the record kind of died right there. But we had gone number 1 everywhere the record was played, so we really felt we had a hit record with Hanky Panky. But of course, I was still in high school, but the record just ended right there. So we kind of forgot about it, and I graduated the next year, 65, from high school in Niles, and took my band out on the road after graduation. We worked Rush Street in Chicago, got an agent over there, and worked up to the Midwest, and came home sort of unexpectedly about March of 66. The club we were working went belly up in the middle of our 2 weeks. Actually, the IRS shut them down, and from not paying their taxes or something. So we left, and we just were real lucky to get our equipment out of there and make it back home. And we were feeling very depressed and very down, and so we got a job at a local 6-night-a-week bar over in South Bend, Indiana, and we're pretty dejected. And all of a sudden, one Saturday afternoon, I get this call from Pittsburgh, from the local distributor there, telling me that Hanky Panky, this record that we had forgotten about, was sitting at number 1. I mean, it's like one of these only in America stories, as they call them. And basically, one copy of the record ended up in a record bin in a DJ picked it up and started playing it at dances, and the kids, wanted to know what that record was, and this guy smelled a hit, and so they bootlegged 80,000 of them and sold them in 10 days, and we were sitting at number one, but only in the city of Pittsburgh. Yeah, so they tracked me down, and because on the label of the Snap Records, it's Snap Records, Niles, Michigan, thank God, and they tracked me down through the record shop that I used to work in.
I think it was called Spin It Records.
Spin It Record Shop. And so they knew my number, and if I hadn't have been home, if that club in Janesville, Wisconsin hadn't gone belly up right when it did, and I came back home, we wouldn't be talking today. That's just how the man upstairs works. I'm not kidding you, because I had absolutely nothing to do with it. And when I got this call, I couldn't put the original band back together. So I went to Pittsburgh by myself with the original producer of the record, Jack Douglas, and we went and we sort of plugged into Pittsburgh, and I did the local TV and radio and newspapers and everything, and I picked up the first bar band I could find, and they became the Shondells.
Went through my research. It said the band was called the Raconteurs.
The Raconteurs, that's right. And we're still best friends today, by the way. I'll tell you about that later. But 2 weeks later, we were in New York City and signed with Roulette Records, and that was the beginning of my career. And that's, like I said, one of those very fanciful stories that only could happen in the record business, and probably only in the American record business.
My baby does the hanky-panky. 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 Hey, my baby does the hanky-panky. My baby does the hanky-panky. My baby does the hanky-panky. Hey, my baby does the hanky-panky. My baby does the hanky-panky. Hey, my baby does the hanky-panky. I saw her walking on down the line. Yeah. I saw her for the very first time. A pretty little girl standing all alone. Baby, can I take you home? I never saw her, never saw her. My baby does the hanky-panky. Yeah, my baby does the hanky-panky. 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 All right, let's move it out. Let's go. I saw her walking on down the line. Yeah, I saw her for the very first time. A pretty little girl standing all alone. Hey, pretty baby, can I take you home? I never saw her, never saw her. You're real low inside now. Hey, my baby does the hanky-panky. Yeah, my baby does the hanky-panky. 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 Let's knock him dead one time. Let's go. My baby does the hanky-panky. My baby does the hanky-panky. My baby does the hanky-panky.
Another great song from the Hanky Panky album of 1966 was Lots of Pretty Girls. It's a really great song, and it gets your toes tapping, and I thought it was worthy of playing. So here is Lots of Pretty Girls.
Last girl that I had, she treated me so wrong. She left me for the first guy, yeah, that came along. Now I'm looking for one who's gonna treat me right. She'll give me all the loving when I come home at night. That's why I'm looking at girls, 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 lots of pretty girls, 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 lots of pretty girls, girls, girls. Talking about, thinking about, oh. Lots of pretty girls, 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 lots of pretty girls, girls, girls. Talking about, thinking about, oh. Girls, 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 lots of pretty, yeah, girls, 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 lots of pretty girls, 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 yeah, lots of pretty girls, yeah, yeah, girls, lots of pretty.
After the initial success of Hanky Panky, Tommy James and the Shondells followed up that song with a cover of the Fireballs song, Say I Am. Things would change when Tommy met Bo Gentry and Richie Cordell from Kama Sutra Records. They eventually formed a production team, and starting with I Think We're Alone Now, gave new life and changed the direction of Tommy James and the Shondells music. With this new production team, it started a great relationship from that point on, and would yield some great music that lasts to this very day. From that point on, there was no looking back. With a lack of insight from music critics, the early songs of Tommy James and the Shondells were labeled bubblegum. It was a moniker that Tommy James really hated. It was really unfair to the music that had a lot more going on to it than the typical bubblegum. I asked Tommy that, at the time, did that label of bubblegum really bother him? And I also asked him why he thinks his music was labeled that way.
Getting together, better than ever. Getting together. I am so happy, baby. Now that you are.
Well, you know what happened was the reason that happened was we had recorded, I think, the song I Think We're Alone Now, and I came up with this the intro, which was the eighth notes. It actually was presented to me as a ballad, if you could believe that. And I said, we went in the studio and did a demo on it, and I came up with these eighth notes, and that worked. It just worked with the record, and so we kept that on the record. And about a half a year later, two producers, but Casnets and Cats,
Famous for bubblegum stuff.
yeah, they started basically taking, everything that they did sounded like a cartoon of I Think We're Alone Now. And, they wrote the Chewy, 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 and they had the intro from I Think We're Alone Now was, the eighth notes became a part of what they were doing. And so everybody basically sort of went retro with that and said, well, where's the first time we ever heard those eighth notes? Well, that was on I Think We're Alone Now. So
That's an unfair comparison, I think.
well, something, it was okay, though, because, we did that for a while, and then we moved on.
Children behave. That's what they say when we're together. And watch gotta hide what we're doing. 'Cause what would they say if they ever knew? And so we're running just as fast as we can, holding on to one another's hand, trying to get away into the night. And then you put your arms around me as we stumble to the ground, and then you say, I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be anyone around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound.
Songs do have a way of working themselves out, and some songs do come about by pure accident. The follow-up to I Think We're Alone Now was Mirage. And Mirage came about as one of those fluke stories that you'd think was just made up.
We took the rough mix, we took the final mix of I Think We're Alone Now up to Bo Gentry's apartment. And it's a true story. Back then when you put a reel-to-reel on upside down, it played backwards. So we're listening to this thing playing backwards and saying, that's not a bad chord progression. So Bo and Richie went off in the corner and wrote it, and it came out to be Mirage. And it was the I Think We're Alone Now chord progression backwards. And it ended up being the follow-up.
I see you standing in the alleys and the hallways. Wait a second, you're gone now. I run to touch you, but you vanish through the doorway. And oh, how hard it is to live without you. I love everything about you. Now I know you're really gone, but my imagination is so strong. I see you coming into view, and your face is telling me that you, oh yeah, oh, wanna be by my side. Oh yeah, oh, now it's finally time. Wait a second. But that's all you are to me. But something I only see. So I keep walking through the alleys and the hallways. Where are you? I keep remembering the kissing in the doorways. The car too. How it all comes back to me. The movies every Saturday. The place we used to go to eat. I want so much to have it like it used to be. Then I see you coming into view, and your face is telling me that you, oh yeah, oh, wanna be by my side. Oh yeah, oh, now it's finally time. Here comes the end. That's all you are to me. Something I only see. Just a mirage. That's all you are to me. Just a mirage. Something that I only see. Just a mirage. That's all you are to me. Just a
While doing some research on Tommy James, preparing for my interview with him, I came across a few details that I didn't know before. One thing that I didn't know was that Linda McCartney, or Linda Eastman at that time, took the cover photos for their album, It's Only Love. I asked Tommy what it was like working with the future Mrs. Paul McCartney.
Yeah, Linda lived in my building in New York, and this is before she knew Paul McCartney. She was really an excellent photographer. She was doing mostly street stuff, imagery of people on the street, mostly in motion stuff, not really portrait shots. She was highly recommended by my manager, and so she and I got to be friends, and I was we gave her first shot at doing portrait work, and we went up to her apartment. She lived in my building at 888 8th Avenue, and we just spent several days up there with a band and just doing different kinds of shots and different outfits, and just we took several hundred shots. We used probably 40 or 50 of them, and one of them actually became the album cover for our second album. So she was our photographer for about almost a year, and then she met Paul, and that was it,
Yeah.
boy.
Another thing that I wasn't aware of, other than the Linda McCartney cover shoot, was that the label that Tommy James is on, Roulette Records, was controlled by a dark criminal background.
I mean, Roulette was a good little label, but it was, like a tugboat in the middle of a bunch of oil tankers.
I also heard that was the gentleman that ran it. It was mob-related in some way.
Oh, yeah. Roulette Records that we ended up signing with was a front for the Genovese crime family. Of course, we didn't know that at the time.
But it also had Jimmy Rogers and Buddy Knox, too. That
Yes, and Lou Christie and the Essex and Joey D and the Starlighters. And they were... Roulette was pretty great at selling records. They really were very good as a functioning record company, but they had this very dark side and this very sinister ownership. Well, Morris was a very notorious character, Morris Levy, and the truth is that his partner up there, of course, I learned early on, was his name was Thomas Eberly. He was the head of the Genovese family, and so this went. Four of the regulars up there ended up being heads of the family over the next 2.5 decades. So this was a very scary place to have a career, and we had to be. Pardon me?
you couldn't speak up about.
That's right. And getting paid was like taking a bone from a dog. It was like getting paid directly from Roulette was. They had a joke back in the '60s of scientists wanted to know what the quietest spot on Earth was, and it was the royalty department at Roulette Records. So I always had to weigh, how much trouble did I want to go through to, how much griping did I want to do to get paid, knowing the situation up there. So I always had to weigh a lot of things. We did make, of course, we made a great deal of money from other things, but there was this issue with Roulette that wasn't going to go away.
Since I was afforded the luxury of asking Tommy some questions, I chose to dig deep and ask some questions about song origins, how they came about, and the inspiration behind each of these songs. The first song that I chose to ask him about was one from the Getting Together album called Some Happy Day. I've always enjoyed this song and considered it one of my favorite Tommy James and the Shondells songs. Some Happy Day, by nature, is broken into 3 parts, and it fades in and fades out, and fades in and fades back out. I asked Tommy, was the way that Some Happy Day turned out just a pure accident, or was it intentional?
Well, we kind of mixed it that way. It wasn't recorded that way, but it was spliced together that way. That was from the Getting Together album back in '67, and that was...
It was different because it played and it faded and then it came and faded.
It faded out 3 times and then came back. Yeah, that's true.
That's one of my favorites, too.
Thank you. Well, we were, back then in the old 4-track days, we were experimenting with so many things. That time, 1967, 68, right in that time period, was so much fun in the studio because all the rules were being broken. And
You were creating new areas that people
Yes,
haven't
we had never been in before. It was like Star Trek, you know. We were, and you know, if you wanted to make sounds wiggly, you basically had to build the circuitry because there was no presets. You know, there was no programs. You couldn't do anything. There was no digital technology, so everything was analog, and it was you had to literally do it on the spot. So you got a hell of an education of electronics and everything. And to be a producer, you basically had to know all this stuff. So we really were having fun back in 1967. I remember. I think we had the most fun making records in '67 because
it's too easy
you had
now.
to do everything with 4 tracks.
Happy day, I'm gonna find someone. Some happy day, the sun's gonna shine. Yes, I know she'll come my way. Some happy day. Some happy day. Some happy day. Some happy day, she'll tell me she loves me. And right away, I'll give her my heart. And when I do, I know she'll stay. Some happy day. Some happy day. Some happy day. Alright, stop. Some happy day, we're gonna get married. Come what may, I'll stay by her side. Love is sure to come my way some happy day. Some happy day. Some happy day. Some happy day. Some happy day.
Another song that I really wanted to know more about happens to be my favorite Tommy James and the Shondells track called Sugar on Sunday. Most people's choices for favorite Tommy James and the Shondells songs would probably be Mony Mony, Crimson and Clover, or I Think We're Alone Now. For me anyways, Sugar on Sunday has had the deepest impact on me of all the songs in the Tommy James catalog. There's just something about it that always captured me, and it's a song that I can listen to and still feel the same way that I did from the first time that I heard it. I was more than thrilled to be able to ask Tommy directly about Sugar on Sunday, since I've always wondered what had inspired it.
Well, you know, Sugar on Sunday was one of those songs from the Crimson and Clover album, and we were just sort of in a real nice writing mode right there, and, you know, the group and I really had fun writing these records, really. We were writing songs. We weren't writing songs anymore, we were writing records. And Sugar on Sunday just kind of fell out of our faces one night. It was really very quickly put together, and one night after a concert, we'd stay up and write. And so this just came together really fast, and it was a song that we had thought of as a single, to be honest. We thought this was good enough to be a single. And we got back in the studio and recorded it the next week. And we really loved it, and it went on the Crimson Clover album. But before we could finish it as a single, the Click, a group on White Whale Records in LA, put the record out, did their version of it, and it became first cover record outside the group. We actually had another record earlier as a cover record on an earlier album, but this became our first top 10 record as just songwriters. They scored with it though. They had a million seller with it, a gold record, and did a pretty good job. I thought they did a very good job actually. But we always sort of felt like that was one that got away.
And another song that has become a staple and a standard at any dance you go to, including weddings or any party, is Mony Mony. And Mony Mony has one of those titles that just makes you wonder what it's about. It was a fairly common practice back in the 60s for titles and lyrics of the songs not to have much meaning, but a really good groove that encouraged you just to get up and dance and let go. Whether it's the original version by Tommy James or the cover version by Billy Idol, once you hear that distinctive drum intro, you have no other choice but to get up and dance. I asked Tommy about the origins of Mony Mony, how it came about, and how they came up with that great name that left people wondering what the song was actually about. And Mony Mony has become one of the main party anthems through the decades.
Actually, Mony Mony was a song that we just wanted to create the ultimate party rock record. I always was in love with party rock. I always loved those records that made people just hit the dance floor. The Louie Louie's and
Some
What
people
I
call it
said.
frat rock too.
Yeah, I love that's frat rock. That's exactly right. That's what they called it later. And I was always in love with those kind of songs. And in fact, Hanky Panky was that kind of a record. So anyway, we wanted to create sort of the ultimate party rock record. So Moni Moni was like this 3-chord, tossed salad where I took every party rock record I ever heard and threw it together in this blender and it became Moni Moni. And but we had no title, and we knew what the words were. We knew it had to be a 2-syllable girl's name like Sloopy or some Boney Maroney or something like that. Anyway, 2 nights before the recording session, we're kind of in a panic and for a title. We had all the words, all the rest of the words except the title. And so Richie Cordell, my songwriting partner, and I, were looking for anything, and everything was sounding so stupid. We're up in my apartment in New York on 52nd Street, and we go out onto the terrace and light up a cigarette, and we're looking up into the nighttime sky in New York, and all of a sudden our eyes fall on the Mutual of New York sign, M-O-N-Y. We're looking at this thing, and all of a sudden we both see it at the same time, and we just start laughing because that's the perfect name for this thing. We couldn't believe that was going to be the name, Moni. It was a mispronouncing of the word money. And I've often said we were so desperate for a song title. If we'd have been looking in the other direction, we would have called it Howard Johnson's. You can believe that.
Here she comes now, saying Moni, Moni. Well, shoot 'em down, turn around, come on, Moni. Hey, she gave me love and I feel alright now. You got me tossing and turning, me loving right, and I feel alright. I say yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you make me feel so good. Yeah, so good. Alright, alright, baby. Say yeah, Wake me, shake me, Moni, Moni. Shotgun, get it done, come on, Moni. Don't stop cooking, it feels so good, yeah. Hey, don't stop now, hey, come on, Moni, yeah.
During the 60s, it wasn't hard to find groups that would hop onto the latest musical style and exploit it for all that it was worth. Once a particular style becomes popular, Many groups will try to emulate that sound, and the market is usually flooded with that type of music. One song, which I originally thought was Tommy James and the Shondells, was a song called Sparkle and Shine by the group The Click. And yes, it was The Click who later covered Sugar on Sunday. Since Sparkle and Shine sounded so much like Tommy James and the Tommy James style, I was sure that Tommy James was using a different moniker and recorded this song under a different name. I asked Tommy if he was aware of this song, and to my surprise, he gave me an answer that I didn't expect. But it answered for me why the song sounded so much like Tommy James and the Shondells.
Well, you know, I sang background on that, but it was I produced the record and we wrote and produced that.
It sounds a lot like Tommy James and the Shondells.
Well, that's why. I didn't mean for it to, but that's just the way it came out. That was their follow-up to. It wasn't as big a record as Sugar on Sunday, but we actually brought them to New York and produced their second record.
Tommy James's time wasn't totally devoted to studio work and the touring circuit. He also became a part of the 1968 presidential campaign. Hubert Humphrey graciously expressed his appreciation for Tommy James and the Shondells by writing the liner notes for the Crimson and Clover album. Hubert Humphrey stated in his write-up for Crimson and Clover that Tommy James had what it takes for top stardom. He had youth, idealism, talent, and zest. In my mind, that's quite a compliment.
We were on the Hubert Humphrey presidential campaign, and practically the whole campaign, and from the convention where he was nominated until the very end. And Hubert Humphrey asked me to be president's advisor on youth affairs at age 21. I couldn't believe it. That was going to be a new sub-cabinet position, and we got to be really great friends, and we stayed friends till the day he died. And he did the liner notes for the Crimson Clover album for me, and he was just a great bud.
gingerbread.
While Tommy James and the Shondells were on the campaign trail, the landscape of popular music was also changing. The traditional singles market had been overrun by album-oriented rock. This change in popular music affected Tommy James and the Shondells as well. Their first step into this new world of pop music was evidenced by their album, Crimson and Clover. It was a heady time where people experienced with new types of music, new technology, and new instruments as well. Tommy took the Shondells' music away from the form that people describe as bubblegum into a style labeled psychedelic. And Crimson and Clover was their first self-produced album. As you heard earlier with the story about Hanky Panky, the same sort of thing happened to Crimson and Clover. Tommy speaks about why Crimson and Clover sounds the way that it does.
Crimson and Clover was this big moment in our career because we, were taking over all the production reins, and we were, it was a big move to officially declare you're producing your own records from that moment on. We didn't have any outside help, and so we were writing and producing and playing on everything by ourselves. And this was a big build-up, and Roulette Records was making a big deal out of this. What ended up happening was I did a rough mix in the studio. I just took it right off the board. I had the faders up, and I didn't really add any of the echoes or anything I was going to add. And I took it to Chicago with me the following day. We were playing a concert in Chicago, and I took it up to WLS, which is the biggest station in the country at that point. And the PD, John Rook, up there, I told him about it. He says, let's hear it. So I played. He says, I love that. He brings in one of his friends, Larry Lujak, a DJ who just signed up there, and says, Larry, listen to this. And I played him. Unbeknownst to me, they recorded it from my rough 7.5 mix. And as I'm going downstairs, getting into the limousine, I hear world exclusive, and I hear Crimson and Clover. On WLS, they start playing the rough mix. So I couldn't believe it. And I go back to Roulette, and they say, what happened? And I said, apparently the record's out. WLS is playing the rough mix. And so we had to put the record out just like that. I never got a chance to remix Crimson and Clover. The rough mix is the record of Crimson and Clover.
And then you had to re-edit it for FM radio later on.
Yes, we had to actually create a long version. But that's how the squirrely things happen in this business that you think are well planned out. And, of course, nothing was. It just, you're always winging it. And that was one of those great stories that, and then WLS broke the record for us. It exploded out of Chicago.
It didn't upset you that they'd done that?
Oh, well, I'm torn between, Morris said to me, you're the only person I know that could be upset that WLS is playing your record every 35 minutes, because I was really upset, but I thought I had really blown it. And lo and behold, the rough mix becomes the biggest record we ever had.
When I asked Tommy about his writing format, there were times when words and phrases stuck in his head, and it was such a phrase that made him write Crimson and Clover.
Yes, two of my favorite words, and it just sounded very poetic, and I just loved the title. We had the title before we had the song. But that's the way it happens. Sometimes, you'll start with a groove or a chord progression. Other times you'll start with just a title, and you never know where the next song is going to come from.
And with the advent of an album-oriented market, Tommy had to re-edit Crimson and Clover to make a longer and more psychedelic version that appeared on the album.
Come walking
Sullivan.
Thank you very much.
One humorous anecdote that came from Tommy was his experience about appearing on the Ed Sullivan Show. Tommy's recollections about hearing Ed Sullivan announce that he would be appearing next week on the show gave him a moment of both laughter and nervousness. And if he wasn't nervous, then he soon would be.
Well, what happened there was this would have been January of 1969. We had just finished a tour across Canada with the Beach Boys doing the National Arts Centers. And we ended up in Vancouver and then back down. I had to go down to L.A. We were, that weekend, this is the weekend before the Sullivan Show. And Saturday night, 8 days before the Sullivan Show, we were doing the dating game, the nighttime show. I don't know if you even remember that. And so we taped the dating game, and we were staying at the Hyatt House on Sunset Strip, and a couple of the Beach Boys came over. And we were watching Sullivan on Sunday because he was going to announce us, because we were on the next week. And I got to tell you, doing the Sullivan Show was one of the scariest things in the world. It was horrendous because, first of all, it was live television. And if you screwed up, your career could be over. And it was so big, and it just went everywhere. And if you messed up, everybody knew it. And we were going to have to do Crimson and Clover live. And that was a train wreck waiting to happen, with the fade, with the treble, you knew they weren't going to get it. So anyway, and so we're watching Sullivan introduce next week's show. And so right here appearing, in Melbourne, and the Talking Bear, and he's going through all this stuff, and he says, and for the youngsters, he said, Tony Jones and the Shondells, which means, number one, he never heard of you, and number two, he can't read. So if I wasn't scared before, I was terrified by this time. So anyway, it was like one of those moments that, everybody fell down on the floor laughing, and I'm freaking out. He doesn't even have our name right. And of course, you're on the Sullivan Show, and if we were headlining the show, and so that means you've got to talk to Ed, after your song, and so anything can come out of his mouth. You have no idea what he's going to say to you. He'd screw up your name. He would ask the most inane questions, and so anyway, doing the Sullivan Show was one of the scariest things there was to do, and anyway, when we made it through, I was very happy when that was over.
With a new direction created by the Crimson and Clover LP, Tommy James and the Shondells created another great album called Cellophane Symphony. And on Cellophane Symphony, it was the first time a Moog synthesizer was ever featured on a rock album.
That's kind of it. I'll try to give you the short version, but Allegro, the studio we had made most of our hits in up to that point, was having repairs done. They were transferring from 8-track to 24-track, and this was early '69. So we went to another place I had to finish up what we were doing, finish up the Crimson and Clover album. So I went over to this Broadway Sound Studios, which was just down up the street, and it was owned by Whitey Ford from the New York Yankees and some other people. So I go over there, I meet Whitey Ford, and we actually have lunch together, and that was a hysterical conversation. You want to hear? He's talking baseball, I'm talking rock and roll, and it's like, it was really a funny conversation. Anyway, so we come back, and I go, he shows me the studio, and I see this gigantic machine. It looked like an old switchboard from the 1920s, with the plugs.
Yeah.
And I said, what in the hell is this? And he tells me that this new instrument synthesizer, and I'd never seen anything like it, and I started toying with it, and I said, whoa, this is amazing, and pretty soon we ended up doing a whole album over there. And that became our next album after Crimson and Clover, called Sulphate Symphony. It was sort of built around the synthesizer. And, it was really pretty archaic by today's standards, but for the moment, that was state-of-the-art technology.
Through the years, after many albums and singles, the record-buying public has their own favorite songs from their own favorite performers, and each person brings their own memories, experiences, and thoughts when it comes to recalling music. I often wondered if the performers shared the same feelings towards their own music that the fans did. So I asked Tommy, after all these years, what was his favorite song of all the ones that he ever wrote?
Wow, well, of the hits, I probably have to say that Crystal Blue Persuasion was the one I liked to play the most, because it's just a wonderful kind of melody, and it just feels good to play, you know what I mean? I'd have to say that's my favorite of the hits.
I remember you saying you had to strip that down originally.
Yeah, it was one of the hardest records I ever made because we had overproduced it. And when we recorded the thing, we had a full set of drums, we had guitars, keyboards, everything. And when we got done with it, we looked at each other and said, you know what? That's not Crystal Blue Persuasion anymore. It's a good song, but it's not. So we basically had to start unproducing it. We had to start pulling instruments out of it. And gradually, the more empty we made it, the better it sounded. So when we got down to just, bongos and a flamenco guitar and an organ and an electric, we just stopped right there. So, I've laughed because first we produced the record, then we had to unproduce the record, and to get to make Crystal Blue sound like Crystal Blue, and then had the atmospherics around it. It didn't work with a lot of heavy instruments in it. It had to be very light and airy, and so I'm thankful I had my wits about me to do that.
Look over yonder. What do you see? The sun is rising, most definitely. A new day is coming. Ooh, people are changing. Ain't it beautiful? Ooh, crystal blue persuasion. Better get ready. Gonna see the light. Love is the answer. Ooh, that's alright. So don't you give up now. Ooh, so easy to find. Just look to your soul. Look to your soul. And open your mind. Crystal blue persuasion. Ooh, it's a new vibration. Crystal blue persuasion. Crystal blue persuasion. Maybe tomorrow, when he looks down on every green field, in every town, all of his children, in every nation, there'll be peace and good brotherhood, crystal blue persuasion. Yeah. Crystal blue persuasion. Ah. Crystal blue persuasion. Ah.
Crystal Blue Persuasion, like Crimson and Clover, came from some words that jumped out at Tommy from the Old Testament in the Bible. He said the words weren't connected, but when he saw those words, they just sounded right. Tommy said that the song Crystal Blue Persuasion always reminds him of the magic of the summer of 1969. And about that time in 1969, Tommy James and the Shondells turned down an offer to play Woodstock. Tommy relates about how that invitation came about.
Well, you know, what happened there was we literally were sitting in Hawaii between a show in Hilo and a show in Honolulu 2 weeks later. We were sitting at the foot of Diamond Head, and we were in a 22-room Spanish villa mansion that the promoter had paid for, and we're having a ball. And I get a call, this is the week before Woodstock, and I get a call from my secretary, Joanne, at Roulette, and she calls me and said, Artie Kornfeld, who was a friend of mine, was also one of the promoters of the show, and one of the principals of Woodstock, and he was a producer, he did the Cowsills, and
Yep.
oh gosh, so he had a whole bunch of hits. Anyway, so he had asked if we would come up to play at this pig farm in upstate New York. Joanne calls me and says, they say it's going to be a big gig. I said, wait a minute, did I just hear you? Did you say leave paradise, fly 6,000 miles to play a pig farm? Is that what you just said? Well, yeah, I said, there's going to be a lot of people there. I said, it's going to be an important gig. I said, I'll tell you what, if we're not there, start without us, okay? And I hung up the phone, and I just can't believe that she asked me to play a pig farm in upstate New York, and all of a sudden by Thursday we knew we screwed up really bad. We saw the freeway shut down, and all the networks were carrying it, and I felt really bad that we didn't go, but I've actually over the years gotten more out of the story than I probably would have from actually doing the show.
Would you have played your hits at the time, or would you?
Sure. Well, we were one of the few, pop acts that were asked to go, and we were very flattered by that.
Tommy James and the Shondells continued touring at a breakneck pace. After the success of Cellophane Symphony came a Tommy James and the Shondells Greatest Hits album. After that came the Travelin' album, and critics hailed it as the band's hardest and edgiest record to date. After 5 years of keeping on the charts and hard touring, the group decided to take a temporary break. But, without meaning to, they began to follow separate paths, and that was the end of Tommy James and the Shondells. After this, Tommy recorded a few solo albums, namely the self-titled Tommy James, and following that, he ventured into the field of Christian contemporary music with Christian of the World. And this album from 1971 gave Tommy his last big chart success with Draggin' the Line.
Dragging the line. My dog Sam eats purple flowers. Ain't got much, but what we got towers. We dig snow and rain and the bright sunshine. Dragging the line. Dragging the line. Dragging the line. Dragging the line. I'm feeling fine. I'm talking about peace of mind. I'm gonna take my time. I'm getting the good time. Dragging the line. Dragging the line. Dragging the line. Dragging the line. Loving the free and feeling spirit of hugging a tree when you get near it. Digging the snow and the rain and the bright sunshine. Dragging the line. Dragging the line. Dragging the line. Dragging the line. I'm feeling fine. I'm talking about peace of mind. I'm gonna take my time. I'm getting the good time. Dragging the line. 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 Dragging Dragging them back. Dragging them back. Dragging them back. Dragging them back. Dragging them back.
From other interviews that I've heard from Tommy James, and some stuff that I've read, he comes across as a very spiritual person. He does have a lot to be thankful for, and he would be the first to admit that there must have been a higher power guiding him. I asked him if he thought there was an anti-spiritual nature to the music business.
Of course. But something, it's hard to tell what's intentional and what's not. Basically that we are, the entire media always, has a very anti-religious feel to it. And I mean, it's always been that way. This is nothing new. I will say, we did a gospel or a Christian album back in the early 70s called Christian of the World. Never had a one thing said about it. There was nothing to be politically incorrect about. And so I don't think you got to make a big deal out of this. You just say what's in your heart and what's on your mind, and people are usually pretty good about it.
A sense of spirituality to you, especially like songs like Sweet Cherry Wine.
Sure.
And you mentioning that God has steered you in the directions that you were supposed to go, and you had no control of it.
That. You better believe I believe that.
And He saved you on a few occasions as well.
He's pulled my butt out of the fire many times.
Everyone, we got to get together now. Oh yeah, love's the only thing that matters.
Tommy continued recording into the 70s, the 80s, and 90s, and in 2004 saw Tommy release his first Christmas record, I Love Christmas. And hot on the heels of this, Tommy released a new album called Hold the Fire. Tommy is busier than ever now, performing to sellout crowds across the country, as well as working on a multitude of new projects. One of the new projects for Tommy is that in February 2010, Simon & Schuster will be publishing his autobiography, Me, the Mob, and the Music. And rumor has it that Martin Scorsese will be making a movie based on Tommy James's new book.
We're doing a movie with Martin Scorsese called Me, the Mob, and the Music, and it's going to be, I have written my autobiography, and we just are putting it out this February through Simon & Schuster. The book will be out in February, and the movie then will be out about 10 to 12 months after that.
That's definitely something to look forward to.
It really is. The next 2 years or so are going to be really incredible, very therapeutic for me because I get to relive all this stuff. But it looks like Robert De Niro may even play Morris Levy.
I was wondering who would play a character like that, or who would play you in the movie.
Well, I'm sort of the worst one to ask. They do have an actor by the name of Tyler Hilton. They're actually going to be two actors, one to sort of do the young Tommy James and the older Tommy James, and it looks like Val Kilmer may do the older.
I remember you mentioning in another interview that you'd like to play the janitor or something.
Yeah, maybe I'll be the elevator operator.
Yeah, as a cameo.
Yeah, but it's going to be, this is really going to be an amazing story because I've never really been able to tell this story. Most of the fans didn't realize that this was going on. This was a very sort of inside thing. I have always been very uncomfortable getting into this while these people were still around. They were involved in some very scary stuff, and I just, basically didn't want to discuss it. I never felt comfortable talking about this until the last of the Roulette Records executives and the people who were involved up there passed on, and that was basically the last one that happened in December of 2005.
With a new autobiography to be published early next year, and a movie in the works, I asked Tommy what other projects he's planning, and what other projects he's working on.
The original Shondells and I are back in the studio. We first started with a song from our Christmas album. We released a Christmas album this last year called I Love Christmas, and one of the songs on there was written by myself and Mike Vale, the original bass player. We wrote Sugar on Sunday, as a matter of fact. We wrote Crystal Blue Persuasion, and a lot of others. And so Mike and I have stayed friends over the years, and we wrote this new song called It's Christmas Again. And we thought this would be a great time to get the original band members. There's two other surviving members. We lost our drummer about 20 years ago. Yeah, and so we got everybody up here. This was like about last October. And we got everybody up here in the studio, and it was really magic making music with these guys again. And we put it out on the Christmas album, and it was great. We hadn't made music together in about 37 years, and it was incredible and wonderful. And so we decided to do an album together. We're going to do a whole album. And one of the first songs that we just did it about a month ago, was a brand new slow acoustic version of I Think We're Alone Now. I don't know what possessed us to do it, but we just did this very lush, beautiful version of I Think We're Alone Now. Totally changes the meaning of the record, when you slow it down like that, and it's going to be the closing credits song in the movie. And we played it for our producers and of the movie. Yeah, we're going to do a bunch of them, but we have a lot of new songs, actually, that I want to do with the Shondells as well. And this is so incredible because we have our own label now, and I'm able to, we're able to record when we want to and what we want to, and MP3 it out to radio around the world, We don't even have to wait for discs anymore.
Well, I also did some research and found that you did a PBS special in 2004.
That's right. Well, that's true. And I want to tell you, we also did another one about 8 weeks ago. And the one we did 8 weeks ago, that was not a performing one. I did a PBS special that's going to be hosted by George Martin. It's going to have McCartney and Elton John on it as speakers. And it's about the entire recording industry of the 20th century, starting with Edison, going back to the original recordings of Thomas Edison and the whole history of the record business. I did about a 5-hour interview. Of course, it's going to be a 12-hour PBS special that's going to be on in 2010. So I'm going to be, putting in my 2 cents, and probably it's going to be a really nice interview, and it's going to be on in 2010, the history of the recording industry.
Well, and I also read that we're trying to do, or we're doing something called American Jukebox.
Yeah, well, we are going to put a television show together, but obviously we can't do everything at once. We're going to do the book and the movie first, and then I very much want to do this TV show called Jukebox, and I don't know if it's going to be American Jukebox or just Jukebox, but I'm going to be the host, and it's going to be talking about, the history of individual records, like how did this group get from Omaha, Nebraska to Atlantic Records? It's going to be the hits of the last 30 years. There's a lot going on, so I'm really happy to be doing this, plus putting out new records.
To sum up Tommy James's career in an hour does not give the whole range of emotion, effort, and struggle that went into the success that he has achieved. Suffice it to say, it is a career steeped in work, luck, and guidance. He, along with the Shondells, have created some music that will last through time itself. Tommy sums up his thoughts about his success and ongoing popularity like this.
Well, you know something? I just really am very, very thankful for that, because there doesn't seem to be any end in sight now. And I go out to our concert crowd, and I see literally 3 generations of people out there. And it's a wonderful feeling, because this is what I've devoted my life to, really. My life's work has been making music and connecting with people. And it's a very wonderful business. It's a wonderful way to make a living, and I'm glad to be still doing it. I sure am. We've been basically doing this in the major leagues for about 43 years now, since 1966, and it's really been a marvelous run. This is a business that you're lucky if you get 2 or 3 years doing it, and so I feel very blessed and very fortunate to be doing it for this long.
When you're